What's up, guys? I'm out on the water today. I had the day off from work, so I decided what better thing to do than get inside the kayak and start catching some fish. So I'm going to go over some of the tips and tricks of what I find to be effective when targeting these fish.
It's a small blue catfish. First blue cat of the day.
Setup doesn't have to be very
he's taking a dump.
or expensive. I'm using probably one of the lower end fishing kayaks on the market right now, and I've got a relatively inexpensive rod and reel combo here.
Here we go.
Show, you don't really need the most expensive equipment in the world to try to catch catfish, or any fish for that matter. I don't have any fancy electronics on this gadget. I don't have a trolling motor. I don't even have rod holders that I can use around the time I'm engaging some of these fish. It's good for this type of setup. I wouldn't really recommend it if you're trying to catch more than just one fish at a time. But I'm looking to upgrade my kayak soon anyways, just because I want to be able to use more rods simultaneously. But this is not a bad idea if you're by yourself and you just want to have something that's easy to manage. As you can see, this is the second fish. It's
All right.
Fish a little bit bigger than the previous one. This was around the size that I was catching.
A little bigger than the last one. Okay.
What you're hearing right now is the fish strangulating. It's a sound these catfish make using their pectoral fins.
Get this out. And pliers. Oh, he's hooked in two places. There we go. Hook is out. That's a solid blue cat. All right, and he goes. Oh, I think he's hooked. Yeah.
I apologize for the noise here, guys. I think I ran into some wind. But this was around the time I caught the next fish. And it just goes to show that it's not really the size of the fish that dictates how hard they want to fight. Some of them are a lot more lethargic than the other ones and don't really put up a fight, especially during the winter time. This was not a very big fish, but boy, did he fight aggressively. And I was able to just take my time. I'm not in any kind of rush trying to get these guys into the kayak, especially when they're completely green, because they're going to give you a run for your money.
I'll take it.
Trying to get these hooks out of them and back into the water.
hook out first. There we go. Look at that belly on him. He's got quite a belly. All right. He wants to go back in.
Now, it's the winter time here, and I started to drift along the natural path of the current, and it took me next to this floating barge. And one of the things that I found that's extremely effective in the wintertime for fishing is finding the location of the fish. And by location, what I'm actually referring to is the depth. So this spot that I'm at is very shallow. I know from experience from studying the boating maps that the water here is not even 10 feet deep. And this ended up being the spot where the majority of the fish were clustered. A cold winter day like this, the fish want to stay close to the surface of the water to try to warm up during the daytime hours, and it wasn't taking long at all. I would drop the bait within 10-15 seconds. I'd be getting hits, if not hookups, and this was happening insanely fast over and over again.
He's on. He wants to go under the kayak.
As you can see, the fish will tell you when they're ready. There's no need to try to horse it or force it into the kayak, because the last thing I want to do is take a fish with full stamina and bring him inside my kayak while he thrashes around, and then I risk getting injured by one of his spines. My sweatpants are covered in fish slime at this point. And it's inevitable. You're going to get wet and you're going to get dirty when you're fishing for these catfish. It's not the cleanest thing in the world, fishing for these slimy critters, but it doesn't really bother me. Just make sure to bring an extra pair of clothes if you're doing this, unless you really don't care about messing up the interior of your vehicle.
There's out. There we go.
Here's my rig. I've got 25 pounds monofilament on my main line. Then I've got a 3-ounce pyramid sinker attached to a sinker slide. From there, the next piece of tackle is a small red bead and then a barrel swivel. That red bead is what prevents that barrel swivel from getting jammed up into my sinker slide. Then I've got 20 pounds monofilament leader attached to a 6.0 Gamakatsu circle hook. This leader was a little bit long. I should have kept it probably about half of the length, but I guess you learn from experience. Then I've got shrimp that I'm using as bait. I just happened to use this because I went to the local fish market and it was on sale for really cheap, and I decided why not give it a go. One of the things you want to make sure is that the hook point is completely exposed, and if there's any scale or shell, remove it from that hook point. It's what's going to prevent a hookup. So this is kind of interesting, and I've slowed down the film significantly to be able to show you what I'm looking for when I'm trying to catch these fish. If you look at the rod tip, it's very, very gently being tugged on, and you could probably notice that right now. It's being tugged on, but not overwhelmingly. There's some action going on right there. I could either have a fish on, or I could have something small just nibbling at the bait, but nonetheless, I'm being very patient. I've got the rod in my hand, almost acting like the rod holder, and you can see now it's getting pulled down a little bit stronger. With these circle hooks, you do not want to jerk the hook into the fish's mouth. It's not a J hook. You're going to miss hookups every single time if you do that. The hooks are designed to lodge into the corner of the fish's mouth as soon as the fish is leaving away from the scene with the bait already in its mouth. So as you can see here, I'm just taking my time. The rod tip has actually started to come back up and recoil, but I'm pretty sure that the fish has got this bait in his mouth. And again, you can now see that the rod tip is changing direction. It's going over to the right side, and it's bouncing up and down. This is also around the time that you can see my kayak is going to start to rotate, and that's a good indication that the fish has got that bait in his mouth and he's taking me along for the ride. But I'm still not jerking it, and I'm still not forcing it because I'm not quite sure if he's hooked up yet. And you can tell here he's rotating me almost completely 90 degrees at this point. But I'm being patient the whole time, and they'll let you know. They'll let you know when they're ready, and then when they've got hooked up. And this is about the point right here. He started to pull really hard. He's bent my rod tip down almost well past 90 degrees at this point. So I start to engage the fight into the fish. This is really when I start to notice that I had too much leader line on this rig, and it was becoming a little bit difficult to manage trying to get these guys in to the boat. I'll definitely keep note of that next time I make my rig. But as you can also see, these circle hooks are designed to get lodged up in the corner of the fish's mouth. You're very seldom going to gut hook a fish, especially of this size, by using these circle hooks. So a lot more friendlier to the fish using this setup. I'm mainly catch and release fishing today. I had no need to keep any fish. I've got plenty of fish at home, but there's a couple anglers out on the shore who asked if I could bring them back something. So I've got this fishing stringer here, which I think I bought for like 50 cents from Walmart, so very inexpensive. And what I'm doing is I'm just attaching one end of it through the corner of the fish's mouth, the other side through the ring, and this way I can keep the fish in the water, well oxygenated, allowed to swim freely while I've got some time before I return back to shore. I do not put this through the gill of the fish. You're very likely to hurt the fish or even kill it if you do something like that. But through the corner of the mouth, especially where your hook was already in, it's not going to harm it at all. And as you can see, they're able to swim freely. They're going to breathe freely. it doesn't hurt them at all. So that's what I suggest to keep fish if you're going to do some time before you return back to shore. And I got another piece of shrimp, and I'm going to start attaching my bait again and moving on to the next one.
Alright, small guy. Open up. There we go, hook is out. All right, nosedive. What the hell is that?
And so it just goes to show you never know what you're going to hook up to when you're in these polluted rivers nowadays. I got lodged into some type of rag. I'm not sure exactly what it was, but my hook was in pretty deep. I tried using these pliers to yank it out to no avail. It was pretty heavy too. It was already soaked, covered in a whole bunch of soot and oil. I tried using these shears to cut off some of those strands, but those fibers were really tough. No avail. I tried jerking it or yanking it. I finally decided to take out my bait knife, which I used to cut up some of the larger size bait fish that I use. I didn't want to lose my hook, so I decided I'm going to try to cut this fibers away, and finally I did get it loose here, but as you can see, bam, I just got lodged deep into the palm of my hand. As soon as that hook came out, it recoiled like a catapult. And I was cognizant of the fact that I was on camera, otherwise you would have heard me put out a high-pitched scream there. It hurt pretty bad. But I was glad to get my hook out. As you can see, I'm trying to rub my hand here. It's pretty sore. But nonetheless, got my tackle. I'm happy to didn't lose anything. Got a chance to re-hook up and hopefully not hook up to anything like that again.
Oh, wow. There's a fighter. Okay. There we go. Wow. Yeah. Solid blue catfish. All right, back you go.